Let's see if we can unravel the drama in the NFL AFC playoff picture heading into Week 17. The big storyline is that all of the previously 6-8 teams won to stay alive. Their odds still aren't all that good, and they would all need some pretty incredible chain of events. But with now only 2 weeks left, things are maybe approaching the semi-plausible realm. Among the teams still fighting, the Los Angeles Chargers are in the best shape, and that mainly is the result of having swept the Broncos in their season series with the win this past week. So if in the event they end up tied, particularly if they end up tied with some of the others at a hypothetical 9-8, the Chargers automatically move to the front of the line thanks to the NFL best in division rule for sorting out wildcard contenders. So currently, put a 92% chance for the Chargers to make the playoffs. They can officially clinch a spot this week with either. A win over the Patriots, now not such a sure thing after seeing the Bills struggle with them, or have both the Colts and Dolphins lose. Now, for the most part, the Bengals are irrelevant to their chances as they beat the Bengals head-to-head, so there is no scenario in which the Bengals take a spot from them. In fact, any scenario in which the Bengals get in automatically means the Chargers got in as well. The Chargers' basic paths are these. First one, get one more win and not even have to worry about a tiebreaker, or have the 7-8 teams lose, same. Second, if they lose out to finish 9-8, it would be most helpful to have the Broncos also lose out to finish 9-8 as well. And then they get in if the teams that are tied are one of the following combinations: Chargers, Broncos, and Colts, or Chargers, Broncos, and Dolphins, or Chargers, Broncos, and Bengals, or Chargers, Broncos, Colts, and Bengals, or Chargers, Broncos, Dolphins, and Bengals. If they and the Broncos both end up at 9-8 and some combination of other 9-8 teams has both the Colts and Dolphins in it, the Chargers end up being out as the Colts and Dolphins would have better conference records. And then number 3, which would be the obvious worst option, if they end up at 9-8 and behind the Broncos, they would need the Bengals to be the only other 9-8 team. They would lose to either the Colts or Dolphins if they were also in this mix. Hence why one of this week's clinching scenarios is to have the Colts and Dolphins both lose. Now with the Chargers getting the Patriots and Raiders to finish the season, in theory, if they can't find one win among those two games, maybe they shouldn't be here in the first place. But both games are away. So if we are still talking about them not having clinched the spot this time next week, things are getting very, very dicey for them. Next in the middle of this drama are the Denver Broncos. Things not so automatic after the loss to the Chargers, and what is definitely the game of the week as far as playoff implications are concerned. They play the Bengals this week in Cincinnati, so I guess things are already getting very dicey for them. It's simple this week for the Broncos. Winning in. Lose and Week 18 will be must-see TV. Compared to the Chargers, it is a simple list of paths for them to eventually be in. First, either win a game or have the 7-8 teams lose a game so tiebreakers aren't even an issue. Otherwise, if they end up at 9-8, they would need to only be tied with the Colts with that record, as they beat them earlier. That means they would need the Chargers to win a game to not be in the 9-8 mix as well. Otherwise, they lose out to any other combination of teams, And that is why we have been stressing conference record here for the past 2 months, kids. If you are enjoying this discussion, all the internet points are much appreciated, as is any support through my Buy Me a Coffee for these poorly produced, geeky story times. First of the teams that are giving the Chargers and Broncos high blood pressure, the Indianapolis Colts beat the Titans to stay alive. Among them, the Dolphins and the Bengals, they have the highest mathematical chance, and I use the word highest very loosely, as it is only a 9% probability to make the playoffs, but that is 9 more than 0, and that is not even counting on the fact they finish with the Giants and Jaguars, so things look favorable for them to have a chance to be 9-8, but of course they are doing tightrope on a thread, and they can be eliminated this week with a loss or wins by both the Chargers and Broncos. The Miami Dolphins are slightly behind the Colts in slim odds to make it, and that is because they lost to the Colts earlier in the season, and there are a couple of scenarios in which that matters, but their division record, that would have to be 7-5 if they were to finish overall 9-8. That's what's giving them some chance. Like the Colts, you couldn't ask for a better finishing schedule. Browns and Jets, although both games are in the cold elements for Tua. And like the Colts, the Dolphins are eliminated with a loss or wins by both the Chargers and Broncos. The team on the smallest tightrope is the Cincinnati Bengals, but still alive thanks to the win over the Browns. And with the game against the Broncos, they at least get to control their elimination odds this week. Because of their poor conference record, again, kids, conference records matter. Even if they were to finish 9-8 and they were to have the Broncos also be 9-8, they can only get in if neither the Colts nor the Dolphins join in on the 9-8 fun, as both those teams would end up with better conference records. So unlike the other teams in this big mess, the Bengals have to be concerned with what everyone else does, as it is a very narrow window of opportunity for them to crawl through. But as long as they avoid a loss this week in the game against the Broncos, they will live to fight another week. A quick reminder, all calculations are from the Playoff Computer app. If you are into fantasy sports or in almost any type of league and want geeky analysis on its playoff races, check it out on the Play Store. Okay, Drama Central Episode 2 is the AFC North Division race. The Baltimore Ravens beat the Pittsburgh Steelers to put both teams at 10-5. Both teams have clinched playoff spots, so they don't have to worry about that. Just still fighting for the division. The Steelers have the mathematical edge, as if they both win out or lose out, they would win the tiebreaker, which in that case would come down to conference record. But interestingly, neither of them can clinch it this week no matter what happens. If either one of them wins this week with the other losing, since they both play non-division games this week but finish with division games next week, any loser this week would have a chance to leapfrog the other with a win next week, and if the other one lost, then the tiebreaker would end up being division record, if any of that made sense. So mathematically speaking, it's around 6-10 for the Steelers and 4-10 for the Ravens. The Steelers play the Chiefs this week and then finish with the Bengals. While the Ravens play Houston next and then finish with the Browns, so they might have the edge in schedule winnability. And just recapping who is already in, the Chiefs, Bills, and Texans have clinched their respective divisions, and as mentioned, the Steelers and Ravens are in, just working it out amongst themselves with what the invitation will be addressed as, division winner or wild card. And the eliminated list looks the same as last week. Again, that is the AFC picture for now. Until next time, enjoy your day.